Hey there, and welcome to a deep dive tailored just for you.
Today we're tackling disciplined agile teams. You wanted the inside scoop.
How they work, what makes them different, and how it all plays out in the real world.
So we dug into Beyond Waterfall, the Retrospective Round, a podcast all about DA.
They had a fascinating chat about building these teams, and get this,
It goes way beyond the usual agile roles.
we're talking about a huge emphasis on emotional intelligence.
You intrigued?
What I find so interesting is how this episode jumps right into the core of Disciplined Agile.
Building the right team and nurturing those dynamics, it really emphasizes that it's not just about the process.
About the people.
Absolutely. They kick things off by introducing the three primary roles on a DA team.
And like you said, it's not your typical Agile lineup.
We've got the team lead, also known as the Disciplined Agile Scrum Master, or DASM.
The product owner, and one that really piqued my interest, the architecture owner.
And each of these roles comes with unique responsibilities that blend leadership and technical expertise.
A hallmark of Disciplined Agile. Take the DASM, for example.
They're like a coach guiding the team, ensuring they're aligned with agile principles.
And always seeking ways to fine-tune their processes. But here's where they differ from a traditional Scrum Master.
The DSM can adapt those processes to fit the project.
It's about finding what truly works best for the team and the task at hand.
That adaptability is so key. It's refreshing, really.
We all know that one-size-fits-all rarely works, especially with projects and teams as diverse as they are today.
Exactly. Imagine a team facing a constant influx of changing requirements.
The DSM might say, okay, let's plug in some Kanban elements to our workflow and improve our flexibility.
This ability to adapt on the fly is invaluable. Then there's the product owner, the voice of the product itself.
They champion the product vision, understand the stakeholders' needs, and make sure the team prioritizes features that deliver the most value.
It's a constant balancing act, juggling business goals with the realities of development, all while keeping the customer front and center.
It's like they're not just managing a to-do list, they're shaping the product's destiny.
It's a much more strategic role than I initially thought.
Absolutely. Now, the architecture owner, that's not a role you see every day in traditional Agile setups.
They're playing the long game, ensuring the technical architecture is robust, scalable, and aligned with the product's long-term goals.
They're thinking about things like sustainability and how the product will evolve, collaborating closely with both the DSM and the product owner.
They ensure what's built today can adapt to tomorrow's needs.
It's like they're future-proofing the product from a technical perspective. I bet a lot of teams wish they had that kind of foresight from the get-go.
Absolutely. And the glue that binds these roles, making them truly effective, is the principle of self-organization.
Ah, self-organization. A cornerstone of Disciplined Agile, wouldn't you say?
It's crucial. These roles aren't about micromanaging every single step.
They empower the team to take ownership of their work and how they deliver it.
The DASM, the product owner, the architecture owner, they guide support, remove obstacles, but ultimately the team has the autonomy to manage themselves and decide how they'll achieve their goals.
That's where the magic of Disciplined Agile truly unfolds.
It's like finding that sweet spot between guidance and autonomy.
That can't be easy to achieve, especially when you've got complex projects and personalities at play.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a delicate dance, and that's why this podcast episode places such importance on emotional intelligence.
Especially for the DASM.
Now, this is something I'm really curious about.
I get how emotional intelligence is important in any team, but how does it manifest specifically within the Disciplined Agile framework?
Remember, the DASM is responsible for cultivating a psychologically safe environment for the team.
They need to be incredibly perceptive, picking up on the team's emotional state and responding in a way that builds trust.
Encourages open communication and fosters collaboration. It's about creating a space where people feel comfortable taking risks.
Acknowledging mistakes and having those tough conversations that are crucial for growth.
So it's almost like they're wearing two hats.
One as a process facilitator and another as an emotional guide, helping the team navigate not just the project itself.
But also those inevitable interpersonal dynamics that pop up along the way.
Precisely. And this becomes absolutely vital, as the podcast guests emphasized.
When the going gets tough, think about it. A missed deadline, a major disagreement within the team.
Or even just that underlying current of stress that comes with tackling a complex project.
A DSM with high emotional intelligence can help the team navigate those choppy waters without letting emotions capsize the entire project.
Do you have any real-world examples of how that might look in action?
I'm trying to picture how a DASM would put those emotional intelligence skills to work in a tangible way.
Absolutely. Imagine a team that's just missed a critical deadline. Frustration as high blame starts getting tossed around.
And maybe even a little panic sets in. A DASM with strong emotional intelligence might approach the situation with empathy first.
Acknowledging the team's feelings. They might say something like, listen, I know this is frustrating, and it's perfectly okay to feel that way.
Let's take a breath, figure out what happened, and most importantly, see what we can learn from this experience so we can adapt our approach moving forward.
It's about turning those potentially negative emotional responses into valuable lessons and opportunities for growth.
I love that approach. It feels so much more constructive and human.
Exactly. It's
Right.
about equipping the team with resilience so they can bounce back from setbacks stronger and more united than before.
That makes a lot of sense. And this leads us to another essential ingredient highlighted in the podcast episode.
Collaboration. It feels like the foundation for everything we've talked about so far.
You're spot on.
And you're right, collaboration is essential in any Agile methodology. But in Disciplined Agile, it's approached with even greater intentionality.
Through the use of something called working agreements.
I definitely heard of working agreements.
But if I'm being honest, I need a little refresher on the specifics. How do they actually function in practice?
In essence, working agreements are like a set of guidelines that the team,
And even external stakeholders agree to follow to guarantee smooth and productive collaboration.
these agreements can be internal, zeroing in on how the team interacts with one another, or external, outlining how the team interacts with stakeholders and other teams,
So it's all about setting those clear expectations for how everyone will work together.
both within the team and with the outside world. It sounds like it could prevent a lot of headaches down the road.
What kind of things might be covered in these agreements? Could you give me some specifics?
Of course, internal working agreements might include things like communication protocols.
Who to contact for what preferred communication channels, expected response times, that sort of thing.
So you're saying it's not just about avoiding conflicts?
It's also about establishing those healthy boundaries that are so crucial for productivity and a positive team environment,
Exactly. For instance, a team might decide to have dedicated focus time during the day.
where meetings are off limits and interruptions are kept to a minimum.
This allows everyone to have those uninterrupted blocks of time to really immerse themselves in their work.
Which is so essential for deep thinking and creative problem solving.
It's like building those mental fences around your concentration so you can actually get things done.
I love that visual. It makes so much sense. I've been in situations where a lack of clear communication led to project delays and unnecessary frustration.
Having those working agreements in place would have been invaluable.
I hear you. It's amazing how even seemingly small details about communication and workflow can make a huge difference in team dynamics.
And let's not forget accountability.
Yeah.
When a team creates these working agreements together,
They're making a shared commitment to uphold those guidelines. It's not about blindly following rules.
it's about recognizing that everyone plays a role in creating a productive and collaborative environment,
It's about having each other's backs, not in a punitive way.
but in a way that reinforces that shared responsibility for the team's success.
I'm starting to see how this all ties back to that emphasis on emotional intelligence.
Absolutely. And here's another key point highlighted in the podcast episode.
Working agreements aren't meant to be static, set-in-stone rules. They should be living documents that are revisited and revised regularly as the team grows and evolves.
That makes sense. What works for a team at one stage of a project might not be the best approach later on.
So how does that revision process usually happen within a disciplined agile team?
Remember how we talked about the DASM's adaptability?
That emphasis on continuous improvement is woven into the very fabric of DA.
One of the primary ways they ensure those agreements stay relevant is through regular retrospectives.
Right, those meetings where the team takes the time to reflect on what went well, what could be improved.
And how to adjust their approach moving forward.
Exactly. During these retrospectives, the team can openly discuss their working agreements.
Identify any areas that might need tweaking and then make those adjustments collaboratively. It's all about that iterative process of learning and adapting as a team.
So if I'm putting all the pieces together from our deep dive into this Disciplined Agile podcast,
We've got these unique roles that blend leadership and technical expertise, a strong emphasis on self-organization.
the power of emotional intelligence, especially for the DSM, and this really intentional approach to collaboration through those living, breathing, working agreements. Did I miss anything?
You got it. Such a holistic approach to teamwork.
Focusing not just on what needs to get done, but also on how the team works together to achieve those goals.
It really does make you think about how these principles could be used in so many different settings.
Not just in software development, but in any field where teamwork is essential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what's so fascinating about this episode.
It sparks that question of application. considering how much Disciplined Agile emphasizes self-organization, clear communication, and emotional intelligence.
How could those principles be used to improve teamwork in your field, or even just in your everyday life?
It's a great question to ponder. And it's a good reminder that these ideas, even when presented within a specific framework like Disciplined Agile,
Have value far beyond their immediate context. They offer valuable insights into the dynamics of effective teamwork, no matter what challenges we're facing.
so, as you go about your day, as you collaborate with colleagues, lead projects, or even just navigate everyday interactions,
Think about how those principles of self-organization, clear communication, and emotional intelligence might help you build stronger, more effective, and more fulfilling relationships.
and on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of disciplined agile teams.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into a topic you're curious about. Until then, keep those minds engaged and keep exploring those fascinating ideas that shape our world.